Welcome to a brief tutorial on atomic structure. A number of these tutorials will be offered via EduCreations throughout this year for the various topics we'll be studying in Year 9. These tutorials will offer some of the information you need to take excellent notes in response to the homework exercises. The homework exercises are structured with questions under headings and subheadings, and these tutorials will help to address some of this information along with your textbook and various other resources. This first tutorial will be on the basic information on atomic structure in this topic of chemistry. Atoms make up the matter of this entire universe. Everything is made up of atoms. Atoms themselves are made up of smaller particles, protons, electrons and neutrons. And these smaller particles are in turn made up of even smaller particles. Some of these even smaller particles you will be studying if you go on to do chemistry in later years in school or university. The three particles that you need to be familiar with atomic structure are protons, electrons and neutrons. The protons and the neutrons are found in a space in the middle of an atom, referred to as the nucleus. This is a bit different to the nucleus of a cell. The nucleus in a cell is surrounded by a membrane and is contained. But in an atom, the nucleus is just the space in the middle of the atom and does not have any containing wall or membrane around it. It's important to know this. Moving around the outside of the nucleus are the electrons. The electrons move in spaces called shells at various distances from the middle of the atom. Protons have a positive electric charge, often just referred to with a plus sign. So protons are often abbreviated to just P+. Electrons have a negative electric charge and are often just abbreviated to E-. Neutrons have no electric charge. They're neither positive nor negative, and they're often just abbreviated to the letter N. You need to be familiar with two terms related to atomic structure. The two terms are atomic number, and the other term is mass number. The atomic number of an atom is simply the number of protons found in the nucleus. This number is the same number as can be found on the periodic table for that particular atom. For example, helium, number 2 on the periodic table, has an atomic number of 2, which means it will have 2 protons in its nucleus. Sulfur, number 16 on the periodic table, will have an atomic number of 16, and therefore 16 protons in its nucleus. Sodium, number 11 on the periodic table, will have an atomic number of 11, and therefore 11 protons in its nucleus. The other term you need to be familiar with is mass number. The mass number of an atom is the number of protons and neutrons that it has in its nucleus. If an atom has a mass number of 12, this will mean it has 12 protons and neutrons in its nucleus. If you know the atomic number of this atom, you'll therefore be able to work out the number of protons it has, and therefore you'll also then be able to work out the number of neutrons that it has. For example, if this particular atom has an atomic number of 6, this would mean that it has 6 protons in its nucleus. So if it has 6 protons in its nucleus, sure you could work out that if it has a mass number of 12, it must also then have 6 neutrons in its nucleus. Let's take a few minutes to work with some of the numbers to do with mass and atomic number. Let's take the example of aluminium. Aluminium is number 13 on the periodic table, therefore it has an atomic number of 13. What does this mean? How many protons will aluminium have? Hopefully you've worked out that it would have 13 protons, because its atomic number is 13. It has a mass number, however, of 27. Now the mass number is the number of protons and the number of neutrons. It should be fairly simple to work out that if aluminium has 13 protons and it has a mass number of 27, it would therefore have to have 14 neutrons. So the number of protons and the number of neutrons together make up the mass number, which is 27. Let's have a look at sodium. Sodium's atomic number is 11. Therefore, how many protons will sodium have? Hopefully you've worked out that it would have 11 protons, since its atomic number is 11. How many neutrons, therefore, would sodium have? If it has a mass number of 23, that is the number of protons and neutrons, you would have to come to the conclusion that there must be 12 neutrons in sodium. So you have 11 protons and 12 neutrons, making up the mass number of 23. So just to be clear, the number of protons in an atom is its atomic number. The number of protons and neutrons in an atom is its mass number. Finally, in this tutorial, let's take a brief look at elements. Elements are substances that are made up of just one kind of atom. That is, they're a pure substance. So, for example, helium is only made up of helium atoms. Let's have a look at aluminium. Aluminium, shown here as aluminium foil, will be an element that is made up of just aluminium atoms. Every atom making up aluminium foil will be an aluminium atom. This makes it a pure substance. This can apply to any element in the periodic table. Sulfur is just made up of sulfur atoms. Argon, just of argon atoms. Lead, just of lead atoms. Silver, just of silver atoms, and so on.